You. Hello, welcome to Back of the Nest. I am Chris Ambling / Hambo, and joined by Patrick O'Connor and Xavier O'Connor as well. It's a double O'Connor. Is there a collective noun for that? We'll have to think about that. Suggestions in the chat, please. Okay, I don't know what the hell to do. I'm very warm, very red in the face, and it is connected to the fact that we've just won another trophy. I don't quite understand it. Are we good? Is that what this is? Are we're good now, right? And we don't have to worry about like players leaving and stuff because we keep winning trophies. Is that what's happening? Good. All agreed. That's that settled. Anyway, honestly, what a game! We started the game slowly, didn't we? Let's face it. It was tricky. It was 4 minutes down, and obviously a former Palace target, Hugo Ekitike, basically walking through us and scoring, and you felt like it was going to be a long day. And but this team is so strong. It's so resilient mentally, and even when we're sort of struggling, with the history of watching Crystal Palace and slow starts and things like that, they don't care. This is a different breed, this team now, and what a game it was! It just turned around, and it was gradual. We didn't panic. We just gradually asserted ourselves on the match, and yeah, I think in the end, when you look at it, we deserved to be level at the very least at full time, and then holding our nerve and having the talent and the goalkeeper to save those penalties. And yeah, honestly, I'm slightly stunned, but excited. So I'll let Patrick, you can give your own reflections as I've just given mine.
Nah, it's a fantastic win. I mean, I cannot imagine in my life I've actually seen Palace win an FA Cup and Community Shield within a space of 3 or 4 months. I just can't believe it. I'm so happy. Honestly, I watched the game. I could have gone. I won't get into the details of why I didn't go. My wife didn't want to fly. There's the details. But I didn't get a chance to go. I had tickets to go. But watching that game, I felt very little stress. I was just enjoying it. Liverpool, by the way, are an excellent team. They're going to beat a lot of teams very badly this season. They really will. But I just enjoyed the game. I thought first half we were kind of not into as much, but I thought second half display was brilliant. Again, shout out to Glasner, the tactics. Our 11, by the way, is very, very good. I know people complain about, we want to get to that today, about the squad depth. I get it. But the 11 that we put out there with the midfield two of Hughes and Kamada, who came off injured, but the front three of Sarr, Eze, and Mateta are very, very effective. Sarr was so good today. Great goal, great penalty by Mateta. And to cap it all off, to win on penalties, which is the most un-Palace thing ever. I was texting Hambo back and forth when we go for one on penalty. I think it's brilliant. I mean, I really enjoyed that. I just enjoyed it so much. So shout out to the people that were there. I know Louis was there, Dee was there, Nick was there. Happy they were there. They got to see it. My nephew got to go on my tickets. He had a great time. I'm just very happy, man. A great start to the season. Let's roll on. But I loved it today. Just absolutely loved it.
I'll let you jump in there, Xavier, about your own reflections.
Yeah, I mean, it was brilliant, wasn't it? It was a bit of a weird one before the match started. It was just really, pleased that we were here. It still hadn't really hit me until I saw, the starting 11 before the match, and then it was just, I just wanted to have a good showing. I just wanted, I thought we've had a really good preseason, and I just wanted us to keep that going. Didn't as much care as the result, but as the match kept going on, just felt like we could actually win it. To be honest, like at halftime, I thought we hadn't played that well in the first half, and I thought we had another level to pick it up. And I thought we did that in the second half. I thought we were excellent in the second half. Like I really did. And I thought we deserved that goal. And I think on the balance of play, honestly, I don't think anyone could really say that we didn't deserve that, to be honest. So it was brilliant. Hard to imagine that, we were in this match in the first place, and then now having won it feels even better. I would have been, fine regardless of how, the match went. But, the fact that we've won it is, it's mad, really. It's wait over 100 years for a trophy and then 2 come in 3 months.
Yeah, we've now got expectations, right? We've now got to win everything. There's no excuses anymore. Yeah. Otherwise, we'll just start complaining again. No, honestly, great reflections there. And look, it's a strange one. I mean, I've been watching this game for years. The Charity Shield and then the Community Shield, and it goes back a long way. And it's always been that moment when the season's about to start. I've never really actively cared about it in any way, other than the fact it's that little teaser. But the beauty of it has always been, in my view, anyway, has been that it has a little bit of edge. Like this, I think this. Going back to playing Football Manager or Championship Manager, whatever it is, like the stats counted. It was the first game where the stats counted in the game. So your top scorer for the season, his goals in the Community Shield, Charity Shield, they counted, right? So I suppose there was that element to it. But other than that, I just, honestly, it is what it is. A couple of teams playing. It's like 95% competitive instead of 100. But today, I think it's a little bit like you were saying, Xavier. It's a bit like the more it went on, the more I watched it, the more invested I was, the more it felt like, it's a chance to kind of measure ourselves against the champions. They looked really good, as Patrick said. They looked a really good side. They have made big changes, right? They've changed both the fullbacks, but they've spent a lot of money on some real talent. And, to measure ourselves against champions that arguably have improved themselves and just think, are we going to be competitive? And having that moment of, we're 1 down after 4 minutes. This could be, you said it, Patrick, in the chat, didn't you? This could be a very long day. That's your immediate feeling. And that's a totally...
I did, yeah.
We know we do it. It's our instinct, isn't it? We go, that's going to be a long day. But if we stop for a moment, we knew it wasn't. We knew we would come back. We knew we'd keep it tight, would be in the game as long as possible. We're not going to get completely blown away, unless everything goes against us. And today, as I said, it was that little sort of slow twisting of the knife, that slow kind of gradual imposing ourselves and what we were going to do. And we can pick out some real highlights, I'm sure, some of the stronger performers, but you've kind of mentioned a few. But I think for me in that early stage, I had a moment of watching, when the opening goal happened, we were just off the pace, weren't we? It was just quick. They were quicker, sharper in the pass, and nobody was kind of decisive in what they did. And I think I had a moment of looking at Kamada in that goal and thinking, is he going to be slow start to the season again? Because he finished the season so strongly, such an important player, and deserved to start alongside Wharton today off the back of that. But he stood off. He was hesitant, and he didn't come out to block the shot. He just kind of stood there and twisted at it. And it was like, I hope we're not going to see that from him this season, and kind of him be a scapegoat again, because last year it was a bit of an easy target. But we didn't see that. Obviously he went off injured, but prior to that he made a couple of really good runs, including run right on down the byline. Perhaps could have delivered the ball a little earlier, but other than that, heavily involved. But I suppose, let me ask you, Patrick, what was the difference today in terms of how we started the game? Who was key in getting us back into that match and getting us level?
I think definitely Daniel Munoz. I thought the right side, his attacking was so important. And what it did was he pushed back Kirkes from being able to attack. What happened, though, unfortunately, Gakpo got into the game a little bit more, because obviously when Munoz pushed up, I remember there was one time when saw him make a 50-yard run, to kind of recovery run to kind of help out, cover Gakpo. But I think Munoz's play was very important. I actually thought Wharton was very quiet in the first half, but he was brilliant in the second half. Came on very, very strong. I thought Mateta was very good in the first half, and obviously Saw was very, very good at kind of trying to create chances. But again, I think first off, I think Munoz might have put in like 4 or 5 balls. He put a ball into Mitchell. Mitchell almost scored on the back post today. So I thought beginning was Munoz's ability to get on the ball wide right. And then towards the second half, it was Ebbs getting into the game more. Saw continuing what he did in the first half. And Wharton first half, I looked at his stats. He was 8 for 16 passing. But second half, I don't think he misplaced the pass. He was brilliant. And the pass to Saw for the goal. Oh, my God. So, yeah, I think that was, for me, the keys for us getting back in the game.
Xavier, what do you reckon? Is Patrick absolutely 100% correct there? I've said Patrick. Should I say Dad? I don't know. It's confusing, isn't it? But you don't tend to want to agree with everything your father says. But what's your assessment?
Yeah, I mean, I'll try not to, as I, go more into the show. But I really, I think that's spot on. I do. I think in addition to Wharton being better in the second half, which I really thought got us going, because I agree in the first half there was some passes that he was playing in. It's a difficult, pass that he's looking to play, trying to get him behind cross-field balls. But we've seen him do it so often that when they weren't coming off, I was like, it doesn't seem like it's going to be his game today. But I thought he grew into the second half brilliantly. I think Hughes next to him, I thought was excellent today. Like I really, I've liked a lot of what Daichi has done and what he's brought in, but it felt like we were missing a little bit of bite in those first 25 minutes when he was in the match. And Hughes came in, and he's not treating it like it was a friendly at all. It was crunching tackles all over the pitch, and some of those tackles got us going higher up the pitch. I thought that was really, really important. I thought he was excellent today. So I think honestly, the way the two midfielders came into the match in the second half, I thought really got us going because we were able to turn Liverpool over a lot, and that's where the the equalizer came from. I think it was Hughes who can't remember who he dispossessed, to be honest with you, but it was Hughes winning the ball up high, and then Wharton playing in Sarr. There was another opportunity where Hughes was harassing Szoboszlai, and Wharton got away and played that one to Ebbs when Alisson made that save down low with his foot, which I actually thought was a really, really good save. Didn't think it got talked about enough on the commentary. Thought it was a really, really good save, but I thought the two of them were excellent. They always get us going. That everyone else kind of feeds off of us winning the ball and getting going. Munoz obviously does what he always does, getting up and down the wing. I thought Ty was really good today as well. Not as much getting forward, but even for the penalty, when the ball comes out to him, doesn't take a touch, just one touch into Sarr, and Sarr does really well to draw Van Dijk into the tackle. I thought that was underrated. If he'd taken a second touch there, that pass might not be on and might just be aiming, offing an aimless cross into the box, and that might not happen. So I thought he was really good as well. And I thought it's weird when you have concede 2 goals, but I thought he was excellent today. And generally, I think over the 90 minutes, I thought was probably our best player. Salah didn't have a sniff today, and part of that is Mitchell, but a lot of that is He covering in the ground behind him. Salah had the one chance, I think, after he'd equalized. He got it, at the penalty spot, hit it right to Hendo. But other than that, he didn't do anything really. And I thought he was a big part for that. Obviously keeps us ticking over with the passing, and the recovery runs are great. Won a bunch of balls in the air. I thought he was excellent. And I think throughout the 90 minutes is probably our best player, to be honest.
That's fantastic. There's so many points you've made there, which probably we could discuss for a long time. But I did want to pick out the key one of talking about Hughes and the impact that he made, because I think you're right. I think if you look at the way Liverpool approached the game, they did start quick. I mean, I think they picked up a few yellow cards, didn't they, with sort of some rotational fouling, some kind of stopping us breaking, that kind of stuff. They really were sort of doing that kind of, taking it very professionally, and we'd stood off. And you're quite right, Hughes' impact on that, and because he doesn't know any other way to play, does he? He's just Will Hughes. Like, put him there and he'll just do Will Hughes things. And I'm not trying to damn him with faint praise there, because he's a fantastic passer of the ball. He's technically excellent. The only thing he misses is a bit of acceleration. And he'd be way too good, he would be an England player, wouldn't he? Frankly, you know what I mean? So I was about to say way too good for us, but I've changed my mind on that, because we're now winning every trophy, so it doesn't matter. But look, fantastic observation in that sense, because he made a huge difference, and he got the intensity up, and also it caused Liverpool to kind of take that step back. Nobody likes a player in their face. No one likes that, even if it's a half a second less time to think. They were very had this sort of pendulous kind of rhythm at the start of the game, and we disrupted that with that change, even though it was enforced. And I do want to give a quick shout out to the comment on Ty as well, because obviously the hope when you get a player in, we've got Sosa in, and he was an interesting choice. I don't know much about him, frankly. Pre-season looked quite impressive, but looks very raw. Ty is clearly a better defender. I'll say that right now. To me, it's really obvious that Tyreek Mitchell is the better defender. I don't know, really, it wasn't the right environment to see what Sosa can give going forward. But what I'm saying is, I hope that because he's there, we get to see the very best of Ty, because at his best, he is an England player. So that was really good to see. But Patrick, I think we should probably go back a little bit, and one of the comments that you sort of flashed up on the screen as a talking point, which I think was around, does something like this take us to that discussion about Glasner wanting signings? We're talking about,
do we have to?
And it's I know it's been done to death, hasn't it, already? And on this channel, it's been done to death. I've been talking about it on BBC London. Loads of us have been talking about it in various different forms. But
yeah,
it has to be the one thing that's a concern, really, because we heard it, didn't we? We heard we don't want to repeat the mistakes of last year. We don't want a slow start. And whatever we do now, if we go and sign 10 players tomorrow, we're still they're still not going to have the pre-season that Glasner wanted. So whichever competition we go in, and we will leave that one alone for now. But whichever one we're in, it's a lot more games, and we don't have the squad for it. As you said, the 11 pick today, the squad when everybody's fit it's competing at the top level. So does this change anything? I don't think it does personally, but I'm going to let you go for it.
It's a very sticky situation for me. I'm not one to really complain. My only issue I've ever had with Parrish was when he fired Vieira, but that was kind of a personal thing. I think he does the right thing by the club, but I do understand, conversely, why people want him to do more. But by nature, he's not an aggressive owner. He's very. Someone mentioned it during the commentary, the American commentary. He's very what's the word? Xavier, the baseball term that we use when they use what Oakland uses, that they use to Moneyball. He's a very Moneyball type of owner. Yeah. He's not interested in just going out and spending money. He wants to kind of take a look at the numbers, what works. You bring in Sos for $3 million because he's makes sense, but then you bring in a free, then you maybe spend $50 million on a defender if he leaves. But I understand why people want to bring in more. I think the 11 that we have, honestly, if we can keep Gay Eze, is really, really good. They mentioned again during the comms how that 11 will give anybody a trouble. And I want to go quickly back to Liverpool. Let me tell you, Wirtz's movement and passing ability is world class. TK's movement up front and finishing is going to be scary. I would not want to play that team every week, so I'll get off of Liverpool, but they are very, very good. And we carried them to 2 goals today. So going back to Pat, I understand people wanted more, and I definitely think we could have done more. But I really, really think Hamburg and Zabe, I think that the cast thing has really messed us up. I don't care what anybody says. I think Dougie leaving has been a big problem. There's just nobody filled that void for Dougie. We all know how big Dougie is in recruiting players, but also doing the groundwork part. That Parrish is not going to do the groundwork, go visit a family like one family and get them to be comfortable with Palace and then signing him. He's not going to do that. It's not what he does. He'll sign the check. So people complaining about the signs, I get it. And we should have addressed the director of football thing earlier, but it's very difficult to have. And then again, also, I'm sorry, the whole thing with the ownership, with getting rid of Texter and bringing in Woody Johnson and getting him on board quickly to sign on and get the money. You know what I mean? There's a lot going on. So I agree, in the past, we've been so bad getting players in before on time. But this is the one year I honestly will say, Parrish, I cannot blame him for it. I really can't. I mean, it's so, I mean, that's why I stand on it. And I get people in the chat might disagree with me, and I understand, I respect that. But there's so many things that have been going on. But again, I just think, just going back lastly, I don't think Parrish by nature is going to take chances unless he feels that, okay, we're going to get X amount from Europe. I'm going to sell Gahey tomorrow to Liverpool and get X amount in. Spurs also want Eze, I'll replace him. He's going to wait. And I don't like that model. But it has worked for us for 12 plus years in the Premier League. And it's worked for us to win the FA Cup and the Community Shield. So I'm not one to argue with that, but like people want to argue on it, I totally get it.
Well, and I'll get your views on this, Xavier, actually. So I'm going to take that point. I'm going to say, yes, there's lots of extenuating circumstances this year, and yes, it's very, very difficult. But when you look at the strides we've made in the last season and a half under Glasner, I'm not saying it's 100% the manager, but it's a fair proportion. Let's face
absolutely.
it, right?
A lot on him.
So,
yeah, definitely.
So when you've got to listen to that guy and you look at his history, he tells owners what he wants, and if he doesn't get it, he's off.
Yeah,
right?
So
when you're looking at what the club are doing, and yes, they're distracted. I totally I'm very sympathetic to that. You know me, I'm not a sack the board guy. I'm not interested in that way of thinking, and I 100% agree with the assertion that it's served us well so far. We are in this position now of winning trophies because of that approach, particularly because of how Steve Parrish has been the chairman, the actions he's taken. It doesn't mean he would never claim to be 100% right in everything that he's done anyway, but his stewardship has got us to this point, right? So totally understand that, on board. But if you do not give your manager what he wants, and your manager is that important, it's a basic risk analysis, right? If we want to get technical, it's like, I'm going to I either don't have the money, so I can't back him, which is a possibility. Maybe the money's not there. Right. Or, you're going to have to say, I'm going to proceed at risk. Okay. The manager wants these players. Obviously they're talking to him about the positions he wants to strengthen. There's still the options there. Dougie's not there. I saw it in the chat. There's some suggestion that he's kind of in the background. But I don't know. I know nothing about it personally.
Yeah.
But some people who know the club say that there's some connection there. But what I'm really getting at is Glasner wouldn't be saying we needed to act quicker if the issue was him not knowing who he wanted or him wanting to wait and see. So he knows what he wants. He wants decisive action. He doesn't want to wait around. He doesn't want to say, if Give Gay leaves this, if Eze leaves that. He wants you just to make decisions, give him what he wants. He delivered a trophy. He's delivered another one today. We've got togetherness. We've got a proper club, proper team. And we haven't, and we've got to back him. But I don't want to get too negative because we won a trophy today. But so last bit on that point, because it was a question. So Xavier, your kind of views on what we've just discussed there. Where do you stand on it? Go.
Before Xavier, no, and Hambo, you're right. I think if there is a time to take a chance, it is with Glasner, 100%. I just don't think Paris should do it. But I agree with you. If there was ever in our history, not Vieira, not Pardew, not Allardyce, I agree with you. It should have been with Glasner, and we're missing out on an opportunity. So you're right about that. But Xavier, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I feel similarly in terms of if we're not going to back Glasner, then who is it that we back? But I will say, just generally, I've been in the past very frustrated with how we've dealt with our summer transfer windows. But given what's happened in the last 3 months, I guess really since Glasner's come in, just getting him in, just generally, and then obviously winning the cup, and then winning today the Shield. It's hard to really get on Parish in the ways that I have in the past. I know we'll get players in. Like I would have, I'd like to have had them in so we, they could have had the preseason with us, and then bet into the side more seamlessly. Glasner definitely takes the preseason very seriously, and he's talked about since he's come in, wanting the players as soon as possible because he wants everybody in lockstep in terms of what we're doing in terms of the system, players understanding their roles, and I fully understand that. I do genuinely think that the players will come in. I don't think we need that much. Glasner's asked for 2, and it's 2 players that I've been thinking about as well. Just in terms of another center back and another person to cover one of the number 10 positions. And I think we'll be all right. And I think those players will come in. I would have liked them to come in sooner. I do think, I'm unsure, with some of our targets, how much of a difference either playing in Europe or a Conference League would have made, to be honest, in getting some of the players that I'm sure we're interested in. But, it's hard to say that this couldn't have had any sort of impact on our transfer strategy. Like I can imagine the Sporting center back that we were in for early in the summer, that Diamande, I can imagine he'd want to come play with us in the Conference League. We're playing in the Europa League and, giving him a bit of a raise in his wages. I'm sure, step down from playing at Sporting, who are the Portuguese champions, and play Champions League. That's something that'd be more appealing to him. I can't imagine he'd want to do that for the Conference League. I don't think that's the same for every single player that we have targeted. I don't think that would make that much of a difference, but I could see some players that being a holdup for them. So, we'll see what happens tomorrow. And I think, if we don't see anything happen in this coming week, really, before the Chelsea match, I think, some of the complaints, that I've been seeing and some of the stuff that I've been feeling as well, I think would be definitely more justified, because once we have the clarity, if things aren't still moving on that front, I don't think there's really any excuse because like you're saying, Hambo, and like you've been saying that the 11 is excellent. And I think probably till about player 14 or 15, I think we're really good, but it's going to be a very long season. We're looking at least over 45 matches, probably close to 50, actually. I guess depending on what European competition we're in. And if we do well, probably over 50. And there's just no way the player's going to be able to make it through, the grind of, having to play a lot of Thursdays, Sundays, and then the following Saturdays. It's just a lot of football to be playing. So we definitely do need some players. But I would hope that, Paris would have seen that today, and the other owners as well. And, been really encouraged by, us going toe-to-toe with a side that spent over £250 million pounds, this summer, a side that's going to be one of the best in the world. And seeing how we did, and then seeing, it's going to really be a very special season again. And, we could go, from strength to strength. And you would hope that, they would have seen that and be like, well, this manager obviously very, very much knows what he's doing. And the players we have right now are quite good. We just need a little bit more. I remember I was looking at the bench before the match. And I was like, if we're down 2-1 late, we can't even make subs because there's not really anyone to bring on. Like we're going to normally looking to, switch up, because it's just a lot of work that the front three put in. Normally you'd be wanting to freshen it up a bit. But I was like, if we're chasing a match, there's not really anyone to bring on. So we're going to have to, it's going to have to be, Eze, Mateta, and Sarr who figure it out. But just, having a little bit more on the bench, I think, would be crucial. And I don't think there's really any excuse to not get that done over the next week, to be honest. At least start hearing some more substantial rumors, even if, the signings don't actually get done before, the Chelsea match.
Yeah, I'd go along with that, and yeah, I think it's a good point. I also did the look at the bench before the game started, and look, I like the fact that we're now in that position where I've moaned for years about them not taking a chance and chucking some untested youngsters on the bench, but at the same time, today wasn't really a chuck 'em on kind of situation, and again, you also weren't, like you say, didn't look at it and think there's a lot of game changes in there. There's a lot of potential game changes there if they continue progression. Romain Esse being one of those who could make an impact, but it's not certain. And then again, you're looking across at the other bench and you're thinking, well, that's a certainty, that's a certainty, and that's a certainty in terms of changing the game and giving you trouble. Now, obviously, the only hope I have is that the thought is, as you described, Xavier, which is we went toe to toe with Liverpool. We've got a really good team. Let's give the manager what he wants and supplement it. And the thought isn't, well, we went toe to toe with Liverpool with what we've got, so don't need to spend another 20 to 30 million, because I'm not saying it would be, I'm just saying that's kind of the balance is what do we commit? But I think it's something like £30 million difference as well, isn't it, between Conference League and Europa as well, I think, over the course of a potential difference. So that's also a factor. But look, let's get back to the main thing, which is the confusing part of winning 2 trophies at Wembley in 3 months, and just take a little bit of a trip through some of the incidents. I think really. So talked about the opening goal already. So the equaliser came about from a penalty. Again, we talked about earlier the deep cross into Sarr. Any nervousness when it was Mateta who stepped up?
I was. Based on the Villa miss, but as my son said, do you know how many takes every kick to the same side? He always goes to his right. It's amazing Alisson didn't see that, and he went to the goalie's left, Mateta's right, and he goes the wrong way, and then on the front he went to the same way, but Mateta beat him. I was a little bit nervous. I love Mateta as the penalty kick taker. Honestly, he's usually very good. The Villa one, only one I really remember him missing. Obviously, the West Ham one went under the keeper, but he's usually pretty good. The one who has a problem with, we'll get to later, is Ebbs. He's got to change that up. I just hate that style of penalty kick. But no, I really thought even at 1-0 that Mateta would score. But Zay, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I backed him because he does. I do think he strikes them well. Like he missed another one besides the Villa semifinal, but I can't remember what it was. But it was sometime in the run in February of sometime last year, because that's why Ebbs ended up. That's when they were switching it back and forth for a bit.
Is it?
I can't remember
the other. Yeah, West Ham one, but okay.
He missed another one, I want to say, but I can't remember which one. I can't remember who it was against. But yeah, I do like his technique because he does do the little, the walk to it and the wait for the keeper to commit, but he does hit them usually in the corner. So it makes it much easier when the keeper goes the other way. So I was a bit worried. Alisson I think he's about 6'4", 6'5", so it's quite tall. So I was a bit worried that even if, he could get to the corner, Alisson might get a hand to it. But I do generally back his technique. I was much happy to see him up there than Ebbs, who I love, but needs to find a new penalty technique at this point. I think he's missed 2 of his last 4 now. Or 2 of his last 3, but yeah.
It's interesting what you say about Alisson, because when I look at him in goal, during the penalties, right, it's like someone's just sort of pinched and zoomed slightly, because he just seems to feel more of the goal than any other goalkeeper. And like you say, I don't think he's like the biggest goalkeeper out there, but he's pretty tall, but he's not like a giant. But he just fills a lot of space, and he seems. Don't get me started on the Eze penalty, because he was definitely off of his line before Eze struck the ball. But and VAR, no, that's fine. Fine, don't worry about it. It's all right.
Yeah.
Let's get back to Eze's kind of penalty technique. Yes, that terrifies me. Sarr showed how to do it in the shootout, didn't he? Which is, you can do the stuttering run up, but if the keeper's going to stand still, because obviously the stutt is to try and get the keeper to move. But Alisson knew that, he'd done his homework on that one, so he just waited. So then Eze has to make the choice, and it becomes too late of a choice. Because anyone who's taken penalties will know it's the best way to take a penalty is to know where you're going to put it straight away and put it there. And if the keeper guesses and you put it in a great place and he saves it, you accept it. But if you're changing your mind or you're making a late decision, you're going to miss more often than not, unfortunately. So, and that's what I think happens there. There's keepers know, let him do his run up, wait, and then he's going to decide there's going to be a tell, go for it. You know, you've got time because he's not going to get too much power behind it. If you do what Saar does, which is get it high, get it powerful, and hit it as hard as you can from a kind of standing start, you've got a much better chance. But anyway, it's definitely nervous watching Eze to come up and strike the ball. We'll come back to the penalties because obviously it's worth revisiting in a bit more detail. But
I checked, by the way, Xavier. He didn't miss another one. It was only the West Ham almost missed. He actually scored. The last miss was a Villa miss.
Was it? Okay. I don't know why.
Did he miss one in a cup or something? I'm sure he's missed more than one penalty.
It's just the Villa one, the Villa Cup one. That was the 3-0 game. That's the only one he's missed, honestly. He scored against Leicester. I'm looking at it now. Leicester, West Ham last season. He scored in the Olympic game, scored in a friendly. Yeah, maybe it was a friendly game, but he hasn't missed in a competitive game.
Yeah, fair enough. I don't know why I had another memory. Because I don't know why Ebbs.
Unless the stats are wrong, yeah.
I don't know why Ebbs was on penalties last season then. Because I don't know why he would have given it to him at any point. That's why I thought that he had missed one, because Ebbs was on it for a bit, then he missed, then went back to JP again. But maybe they were just gave him the ball and he didn't miss one. And I made that up in my head, yeah.
I don't know. Well, who knows? Let's not question reality right now, because that's a much bigger topic than we've got time for. But right, okay, so equalising goal. No, sorry. Let's talk about the free goal, because I mean, I want to take you through a memory I shared with Patrick through the course of the game.
Go ahead, Abbo. Tell them all. Come on, let the world know. This is great.
It was very reminiscent. I've already I've made sure that ChatGPT knows about it as well, because I now want that fact to appear somewhere in the future when someone is talking about free goals. So, what has happened there is obviously it's one of those moments of absolute. It's the only place that can go, as in terms of how it's come off his foot. He's trying to chip it up to the back post, right? And it's come off his foot. It's just the timing is just so slightly off that there's an amount of spin and drift and height and dip that you cannot replicate intentionally. It just happens, and that's really the only angle that Henderson's not getting his arm to it. It's just ridiculous. It's ridiculous, and they kept talking about it being in the 20th minute. And obviously, rest in peace, Diogo Jota. It's a terrible thing.
Yeah.
And it was nice that they connected the 20th minute that happening, and it was just meant to be, and all that kind of stuff. People can connect things, talk about fate. That's all that kind of stuff. But that was so insane for that to happen. And the reason I know that is because I've done it. And again, it's you can imagine me as a young player, full of pace and trickery. I was playing five-a-side with work. I was on the left wing, and someone hoofed the ball up to take advantage of my incredible pace. So I'm chasing after the ball, got a defender after me. And for some reason, I was completely out of breath when I got to the ball, and I couldn't really be bothered to do anything. So I just swung my left foot at it. Not left-footed. Don't like using my left foot. Swung my left foot, and all I was trying to do was hook it back into play into the centre. But I sliced it, and it just went perfectly up in the air. And now we're playing in those like long, short goals. You have in five-a-side. They're like 2 foot high, about 5-6 foot long. So, and full adult is standing in that. You can't lob a goalkeeper in one of those goals, but somehow I lobbed a goalkeeper in one of those goals from the left wing. Like it just sliced off my foot, looped right up in the air. He jumped, and it just missed the tip of his fingers and dropped in. And he swore at me something crazy. And do you know what? Because he swore, I never told anybody until this moment that I didn't mean it, because it looked like I meant it. It absolutely looked deliberate. And if anyone had seen my face, which they didn't, they would have seen me looking incredibly confused and then bursting out laughing as it was obviously going in. But, and it took me right back. So I just wanted to share that story. It took me right back to that moment. And there you go. So it was a complete and utter fluke. There's no debate. Yeah. There's no, did he mean it? Whatever. It's one of those things that happen. Henderson wasn't at fault. There's nothing he can really do. He's in the right place. There's no time. You can't time that jump really any differently in my view. But I'm opening it out. Any thoughts that were wrong there? Are you in agreement? That's a freak goal. It happened.
At the moment, I was annoyed, but I don't. Obviously, not looking back on it, there's no way. You mentioned that kind of a goal is a freak goal. I've seen it. I've never scored one. I've seen him scored in many games I've either coached and or played in. And it speaks to the XG. The XG was 0.10, and ours was 0.93. They scored 2 goals, legitimate goals. not an own goal, and they had a much lower XG than me. That's how freaky that goal was. So no, it was a weird. That guy, by the way, Frimpong's going to be a menace. I really thought that Mitchell did a really good job on him today. If you want to say Mitchell or you want to, because I think Gay really had Salah more. But down the right side, he's very, very good going forward. He's not great defensively, but he's really a right winger by trade who plays right back. But he's a very technically good player. He had a shot later when I went over the bar, but just in general, that was a really strange goal. It was annoying for us to concede after we fought our way back into that match, but I thought it was a weird goal. But what about you, Zay? What do you think about that goal?
Yeah, I mean, I was just a bit annoyed by the just how it came about, just in terms of getting back into the match and then us conceding again so quickly. It was a bit of a weird one. It looked like it might have taken a deflection because I couldn't understand how Hendo would have been beaten from there. But then when I saw it again, I saw it kind of came off his foot a little bit strangely, bit of spin on it, tried to get a fingertip on it, just about missed it. If he gets anything on it, probably clawing it away, maybe it's supposed, maybe we're able to scramble it away. But it was just one of those, those happen in football. And I remember thinking, after the fact, if we're gonna have be conceding a goal like that, I'd much rather it be in today's match than one of the ones that really counts in the season, and much more than that kind of thing happening, Bernardo Silva doing that back in May in the FA Cup. So I was like, what goes in is like, there's one of those you see your side concede every so often, and I was like, considering the match it was in, it's like it was all right for it to happen here. Yeah,
I was hoping you had a story of your own of scoring one of those yourself, but maybe sometime in the future.
Yeah, I was gonna say no. Yeah, okay. Nothing like that. Yeah.
Honestly, it's an experience. I'm kidding. That was good stuff. It's just a weird goal to concede. I just got slightly distracted by the talk of the penalty that wasn't given for us. Patrick, you and I talked in the game that the handball, it was, it dropped on. I've forgotten who it was now. McAllister, yeah, dropped onto his hand. Because the thing is, I thought I didn't see it at the time. It was shown in slow motion, and it was his left arm goes up basically as he tries to head the ball, and I thought it was going to flick off of that, but it actually goes past and comes off sort of as it gets to Sarr, comes off of his right hand, which is up by his head, and then goes into the path of Sarr.
Right.
So David saying clear penalty, and that Keith Hackett says it was a clear and obvious handball. You said, similar to myself, it is a handball to some degree, but given against us, I'd feel furious. Very aggrieved.
Furious. One, I don't rate Keith Hackett as a pundit and a referee. Was terrible. Hated him as a referee. But getting past that, David, it's a good point. I just thought proximity, because the rules are kind of different now. I mean, in the old days, that's a penalty all day. Remember the Joel Ward nonsense one time when he slid in the box and gave a penalty away? I guess it was against either Chelsea. I think it was against Liverpool actually way back when. But I don't think you get that penalty. And again, if that's against us, I would have been absolutely fuming, especially at that point in the game when it would have won the game. You can't give that penalty. So if Keith Hackett said it was a penalty, good for Keith Hackett. But for me, I just don't think you can give that penalty for Palace or against Palace. Or against Palace. So that's me. But
it's a good point. I've seen a ton of them given against Palace.
Dean Moxey
against Spurs immediately springs to mind.
There you go.
I think first Premier League season back. I think first game maybe if it was Spurs.
Yeah, that game there when they had all those new signings. Yeah, we lost. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Just it booted at him from like just this penalty. Off you go.
Which is why I think they changed it, Ham. But I think they changed it. I think they don't want to give away those penalties anymore. Because again, if you give away that, if you're going to have your hand up every time your hand is a penalty from that close, they'll be giving penalties every match. So I understand that you might have wanted it, but I think that the new rules just state that the proximity with your arm and your body and the way the ball moves. I just think you can't get. I mean, that's me, and that's as a penalty for Palace. I just thought you can give that one, but I understand the argument for and against actually. So.
I'm conscious of the cycle of what do you think, Patrick? What do you think, Xavier? What do you think, Crit? I'm conscious of that, so I'm gonna skip you this time, and you can be first in the next question. In fact, you can talk us through the equaliser. I'm going to let you describe it in full detail, not because I've forgotten it. I've sort of forgotten it, but I'm just very old now. I don't remember things that happened more than half an hour ago. So, joking aside, take us through it and take us through the thoughts, because it was deserved, right? We again, a little bit of a slow start in the second half to some degree, I think it's fair to say, and then quite quickly addressed that, and then built a bit of momentum, and then, well, it happened, right?
Yeah, I thought it was fully deserved handball. Like I was saying earlier, I thought we just picked it up a bit in the second half, and we're really winning the ball up high and creating chances from that. I mentioned the left-footed shot that Ebbs had when Hughes won the ball back and Morton did a little swerve and got away and played him in. We had that chance. There was a ball that Mark put in that JP got on the end of and Sarr just missed getting the end of. I think it would have been offside anyway, but thought that was dangerous as well. And I thought generally, I thought we were going to get a chance where we got in behind them because it seemed the whole match we were trying to get in behind the high line with Liverpool, taking advantage of the two new fullbacks who are both very attacking and haven't.
Yeah.
I don't think they've fully figured out the balance yet. And I think once they do, Liverpool will be. I already think they're one of the better teams, in the world, and I expect them, to win the Prem again. But I think once they figure out the defensive solidity, they'll, go up another level. But I thought today we caught them at a good time because I thought we were really able to get in behind. We were playing it in long a lot, and trying to win. It was either getting pinged into Munoz for him to win the first ball, and then Sarr would get in behind, or was pinged into JP, and Sarr would get in behind. And I thought Sarr was getting close to getting in behind a couple of times, and it felt like I was, again, my main point with Wharton. I thought in the first half we had those opportunities as well, but the ball wasn't spot on. So I just felt that we'd get one, good opportunity to get in behind, and I was just hoping that we would take it. And again, it came from, the pattern that I described. Hughes winning the ball up pretty high. I can't remember exactly who he won it off of, to be honest with you. But I just remember him winning the ball up high and Wharton getting it. And then just as he always does, and I know sometimes his pass completion stats aren't particularly good, but I think it's a feature of how Glasner wants him to play. And I think it's just the way he likes to play. Is the ball is he tries to get the ball forward pretty much as quickly as possible every single time. And that very clearly seems like an instruction from Glasner. It's like when you get it, like, can we get in behind? Like, can we play Sarr in quickly? Like, can we play Munoz in quickly? Like, can we switch it and get in behind? Like, it just seems to be a very clear instruction that he has. And as soon as he got the ball and he looked up and he just just lifts it, in between that space with Van Dijk and Frimpong, which again, I think, maybe 3 months from now, that space isn't there because, they're a bit more solid in the back. Don't have those kinds of miscommunications, but, when it comes into Sarr and he takes that first touch, just knew, it would be a goal. He scored that kind of goal for us so many times and really nice finish. Actually, when it hit the post, it took forever to actually hit the net. It just rolled all the way across and I was like, is it going to come out or is it going to, hit the other post and come out? And thankfully I saw, nestle in the side netting. But it was great. I mean, it was a wonderful goal. And I think given how he played in the second half, like that type of goal felt like the way we were going to get back into it. Like Hughes winning the ball, getting it to Wharton, and then Wharton playing it quickly and then into the front three and then seeing what it is that they can do. And so the goal felt very fitting, how that second half went. And it feels like a very fitting Glasner goal, just in terms of how quickly we can transition, from defense to attack. I think it's really brilliant. And just, we don't press particularly high, but when we're in like a mid block and the ball is there to be won, like we're always getting into those challenges. And so It just feels like, the epitome of a goal we scored a lot on the Glasner, and it felt like it really summed up the second half well of scoring like that. So I thought it was a brilliant equalizer, and I thought it was exactly what we deserved.
No, some great observations in there. I think definitely when we're in that mid block and the gaps between the players are nice and tight, we're not, when we're winning the ball, there's 2 or 3 options to move it quickly. I think that makes a big difference. I think it also makes a huge difference, when we're kind of in people's faces. I suppose they showed a couple of replays of that huge challenge. I think it was on Szoboszlai, I'm not sure, but they showed a couple of replays of it. Like, again, I was too busy celebrating the goal to think about what was going on, but I'm not sure if they were suggesting it could have been a foul or whatever. But it was a coming together, the ball runs loose, Wharton plays that pass. But I was interested that Van Dijk chose that moment, and it's like you're talking about, the defense aren't quite used to each other, because he chose that moment to kind of step up, didn't he, and just kind of step out. And he did it once or twice more, but but you're not going to catch Sarr once he's through, and those finishes, the quality that he's got, again, heart in mouth with the inside of the post. But potentially it's your day when those margins go your way, don't they? And we've all seen a million times. Well, we've seen Palace score goals that we're actually just not seen. Everyone remembers Freddie Sears, if you're old enough. So it's nice to see it go for us. And let's not forget, there was, as you made the point, we were trying that a lot. There was a couple of great opportunities for Eze in similar positions. Mateta going through, on the edge of the box, smashing the ball over. If he'd just maybe taken a touch or taken a breath at least, might have done better there. But of course, at the other end, there was couple of fantastic saves from Henderson, some good saves, but two, I think, off the top of my head, where he got down very low and pushed a couple of efforts away. And again, he got more sort of dominant in the air and he got more involved. And he maybe saw Alisson at the other end playing as the sweeper keeper and kind of had a bit of a go at that himself towards the end too. So everybody contributed. Everybody did incredibly well. And I think we just obviously should probably touch, before we talk about the penalties and sort of maybe draw this to a close, we should definitely talk a little bit about Devaney's chance at the end. Patrick, I'm going to lean on you for that. Comes off the bench, first touch, and it for a moment, I was just like, "That's in." He's done it again. Like, this is a player who last year, let's be honest, he did come out of nowhere. Like, I remember us signing him. I know he'd played first team football for Airdrie up in Scotland, and he'd been in around the 21s and he'd been doing reasonably well. But it wasn't like those who watch the 21s every week were talking about this guy, saying he's the next big thing. He'll be in the team before you know it. But the coaching staff have seen something about him. They've seen something there. That exposure to first team football at a young age is definitely one of those elements. But I think he's probably a better player than we realise right now. And I like him a lot, but I think he's better than we know. And to come, so close, wasn't it, Patrick?
I watched him a lot for the 21s, and I've really always liked him. He's technically very good. He's not as quick as I'd like him to be, but he's a little bit like Wharton, and he's scanned to field very quickly. He can see a pass before other players. But when Ezzy puts that ball into him, I'm like, he's gonna score. Then I'm like, oh no, it's on his right foot. He's left-footed. I'm like, no. But then I looked at the replay. I mean, it is a foot away because Alisson dives way to his right across the goal, and it just missed his right hand. So if that's on net, he might have scored. And he eventually elevates it a little bit, but a great opportunity. Now, I'm pretty sure, I think within the chat, you said, was it his first touch? I think it was. I don't think he touched the ball besides the penalty kick. So for him to have that opportunity, and imagine he scores, but then not to go on ahead, but to have what happened for him was fantastic. But yeah, what a great opportunity was. I mean, again, you know me, I'm a big fan of the academy, but yeah, he's not a truly an academy player. But again, if you're in the academy, you see what Justin Devaney has done in this last year and a bit, you're going to be enthused and say, I've got an opportunity under this manager, at least to get some playing time. And I love that for the club, because the club needs to utilize the academy more. So Devaney may not be a true quote-unquote academy player, but to see him come on and do what he's done, I'm very happy for him. And again, he was this close to winning the Charity Shield. But he won it anyway. Sorry, I said it again like I did in the preview. Community Shield.
Community Shield. I've said Charity Shield 1,000 times today. It's because we're old. But no, honestly, exactly. You've talked about it there because it's poetic. You think he could have won it for us, and then he does. And let's face it, we talked about penalties. Like, I'll say it, that was a proper penalty, right? All these stuttered run-ups and these little hops and skips.
Loved it.
And then he's just an old school penalty taker. You just wander up and thump it. That's always a good thing. I mean, don't get me wrong. I like the sort of wander up and look to one side, hit it to the other side, and then give the keeper a look and wander off. I don't mind those, but at least hit the thing, I mean, maybe I shouldn't say that, because obviously Salah hit the thing, and I think it's still going. I really do. It wasn't quite punching.
I like Jason punching. Exactly.
Yeah.
Great way to start the finish shootout. I love that.
Yeah. But yeah, exactly. That was a nice moment. You said you were cool and calm about the penalties. How about you, Xavier? You like a penalty shootout? I don't.
No, especially not when Palace are involved. I saw something on Twitter about how it's been 22 years since you won a shootout. And I was like, yeah, fair enough. That sounds about right. And then when I was talking to my dad before the stream started, he's like, the last one we won was Sunderland in the playoff the semi-final. We came up in 2000. That would have been 2004. 2003. And I was like, yeah, sounds about right. Like, I remember that. I have very fond memories of that shootout. We also took some awful penalties in that shootout as well, which is very funny that was the one that we won, because ours were bad. Sunderland just happens to be worse. But yeah, I was, in terms of a penalty shootout involving Palace, about as not nervous as I'll ever be, considering what the occasion was. But again, it was one of those when, especially when they went first and Salah hits over the bar and we score, and it's like, all right, I backed Henderson to make one save. So it's like, all right, they've already missed one. I feel like Dino's going to make a save. Just have to make 4 kicks, and then we win the Shield. And then Ebbs does that, and ends up the way. But I thought obviously Henderson was brilliant, and in terms of keepers to having a penalty shootout, having him is as good as it gets. So I did back us to eventually win it. I was a little bit worried about who the takers would be. I knew the first 3 would be the front 3. I was a bit worried about after that because Wharton had come off. Didn't know if Hughes would fancy one. I feel like Mark would have fancied one, but obviously he had come off as well.
Mark. Yeah.
So then I was thinking about, I don't actually know who's going to take the next 2 kicks, and I had a feeling Devaney might take one. I was hoping it wouldn't be an opportunity, whereas if he misses, we lose kind of thing. Because, even though it is the Shield, that kind of thing for a young player can be damaging. But I think just one point I want to make on Devaney is I think among many great things that have happened with the club and associated with the club in the last year, I think his development has generally been one of the best things. He's come into the squad, not being particularly heralded. I remember he got his first start against Villa away and he scored in the match. And I remember talking to my dad before the match about who he was. He's like, yeah, watch him with the 21s. He's good box to box. Like, I think he's like a tidy player. Probably be one who could be, one of, depth type of center midfield option at some point. And he's come from, being that to being a player I think we can genuinely rely on. Like, it's not you're seeing him being like, we don't actually have any other options, to bring on. It's like, what he's going to do. Like, he's going to work hard. He's going to get into the tackles. He can pick a pass, has like a nice left foot. I think just, the way he's come from, not being, it's not an academy product, but, just from coming from the 21s and now being a midfielder in a, again, as we've said, like a quite good Premier League side and doesn't bring the level down at all. And that's a player, you might have to spend 8 to 10, million pounds on, and we have him on low wages and we didn't spend, I'm not sure what the fee we spent to get him, but it certainly wasn't that. It's probably somewhere in the 6 figures. I think it's just a great success story, how he's come to the squad, and he looks just more and more confident and looks like, he thinks he belongs to be, playing for a Premier League side.
Yeah, and that's one of the most, sorry, he's disappeared. Is that a mic drop? Or is it just me that can't see him?
I don't know what happened. Where did he go?
Yeah, well, we'll take that as a mic drop.
It might be internet. Yeah.
But look, just to continue that point, really, it's what I really like about him is you can talk all day about the ability he's got, and I will go back to what I said before, which is, he's better probably than even we realize watching him. But I think it's the attitude, right? And do you know, he reminds me of a little bit, Patrick, and it's like James MacArthur retired, and then we needed somebody who, as Xavier was saying, you kind of like, what you're going to get every single time, and it's everything. It's everything he's got. He's going to give you everything he's got. If he gets a chance to have a shot, he's going to have a shot. If he needs to put in a tackle, he's going to put in a tackle. If he needs to run with the ball, he's going to do any of those things. You can put him anywhere in the midfield. You can put him at fullback. You can put him in a 10.
Yeah.
And he'll do a good job. And you could probably chuck him in any other position as well. And he'll just, he's going to give you 100% there as well. So I think I 100% agree with what Xavier's saying. He's very, very important to us. He's not making up the numbers by any stretch of the imagination. He's not anybody that we need to loan out for his development. He's a Premier League player now. He's an international player now, and he will get better as well, and the lesson that Xavier was talking about from the academy players looking at him and thinking, I'll have a chance. The lesson isn't about ability. They've all got ability. It's about attitude. It's about what you bring. And what he brings is everything he's got. He would, do you know what? You can't possibly imagine him ever complaining if he was for being on the bench, right? He's one of those players he would 100% enjoy every single second, every single minute he's got. He came on at Wembley today. There was like 30 seconds left in the game, right? Probably slightly more than that. But he's not going to be sulking. He wouldn't have been sulking about that. If Palace had ended up losing the match, he wouldn't have cared. He would have cared, but he wouldn't have cared that he only played X amount of minutes. So, that's why I talk about when I say MacArthur, like in terms of the personality and in terms of the effort, constantly running up and down, giving you everything he's got. You know, when you lose somebody like a James McCarthy, you lose that reliability. Devaney, for whatever reason, has those vibes for me. And again, I'm not saying like for like as a player; they're different players, but there's just something about it that's really pleasing. And I hope he gets more opportunities this season, and I hope he starts a few more games as well. And he's just one of those. I just feel this is the club for him. I don't. He's just ended up in the best place for him to make the best of himself in terms of his career, and I'm delighted.
And I'll just add then to kind of wrap it up with that goal, to score the winning goal on that penalty. I couldn't be happy for him. I thought he would take the fourth penalty. I was talking to my Xavier in our little back and forth chat. I'm not sure why he'd go fifth and not go fourth and have Sosa, more experienced player, go before. But I was doing the maths the whole time. I'm like, we got to make only 3 more kicks. We're only going to make 2 more kicks. And the thing about Sosa's kick is that it was always a good kick. When if you realize that you're taking the winning kick, just blast it down the middle, because the goalie will commit, and the worst that will happen, he'll hit him in the chest, which is very unlikely. So for him to kind of go high, which is weird, but the Venny kick, again, going back to him lastly, was so well taken. I've seen him take penalties a lot for the 21s. He took them a lot. He was the captain of the 21s when they won something, or to the playoffs, whatever, or an international cup, actually. Yeah, he was international cup when they won. But he is very technically, takes free kicks, corner kicks, penalties. I was nervous for him because he's a young player, but that will do so much for his confidence. It wasn't boosted from last year, being part of that team, winning the FA Cup, even though he didn't really play in the match, but he was part of that thing. And then obviously the Villa goal and the goal in the FA Cup in the was it Doncaster? Yeah, where he scored that goal. For him to score that penalty today, I am so happy for that one kid. I couldn't pick anybody. I would have had picked more, maybe Kamada, because where he gets a stick. But for me, the Venny scoring that penalty kick today was brilliant today. I loved it. I absolutely loved it more than I can actually really put into words.
And I can't possibly add any more to that. So, yeah, fitting way to win the trophy. And what a way to end pre-season and start the new season. Really, let's call it what it is. We started the new season with a trophy. The season started today. We won a trophy. That's what's happened. It's not none of this pre-season rubbish. Like championships, we played, Scotland's playing. Exactly. First game of the season, we won a trophy. We've beaten the champions. I mean, arguably, if we're playing Conkers, we're now the champions. But that's another thing altogether. Yeah, so do I have to explain Conkers? You remember Conkers, right? You've played Conkers.
I remember Conkers. David, you get them on the tree, get the lace,
horse chestnuts. Yeah. Soak them in vinegar, that kind of thing. Doesn't matter. We'll do a show. We'll do a show on it exactly. Later this season when there's an international break. We'll do a Conker tournament. How about that? Right. Okay. Moving swiftly on. Yes, it's a good comment. I haven't even been thinking about Chelsea next week or anything like that. 580. I put a bet on every year, and I bet on every year for Palace to win the league and Palace to be relegated, because it's a tradition, and I like to hedge my bets. There's no relegation. There's no relegation bet this year. It's not happening. It's not happening. I'm not doing it.
I made a top 10 bet. I'll throw it out there. I haven't made a relegation bet. I made a top 10 bet, because why not? I mean. Odds aren't that good, by the way, for us to get top 10. It's pretty. A lot of people think we'll get top 10 this season, so the odds aren't great. But I figure, what the heck, I'll put it on anyway, just in case. So.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at it today, bookies, pundits, everybody's going to be saying the same thing, which is like, Palace might be that team this year.
Exactly.
We all know that teams have had good seasons and then qualified for Europe, and it's been hard because it's a slog, isn't it? Especially if you're in the Conference League, traveling to teams that don't technically exist. But hey,
let me address this really quick.
Right?
We will be doing a show tomorrow. I don't know if it's going to be a live reaction, but we will be reacting obviously to the hearing, the outcome of the hearing, which we'll keep our fingers crossed. But yeah, is that MY or my? We'll be doing something tomorrow. I wouldn't say it'll be live. I don't know if we're going to know when it happens, obviously, but when we find out, I'm sure D, me, Louis, whomever will be jumping on tomorrow. So yeah, about that. So.
I mean, and if you're so inclined, I've got the TikTok account now, and I basically make up lots of lies on that, and I did that today. Made some lies. My lie today was that Nottingham Forest would be playing in the Community Shield instead of Palace, and that all Palace fans were being asked to support Forest. That was my lie today. So if you're interested in lies, I'll be making lies tomorrow up about the CAS verdict. But I also probably will cover the truth if I'm not in a meeting or something, because work, job, all that kind of thing. So if you're interested in that and you know how to, I don't know, I don't know if TikTok a verb. I don't know. I shouldn't be doing it. I'm far too old. But let's move on and get on with our lives today. So thank you so much, first of all, for everybody who joined us and all of your comments. We covered a fair amount. Patrick doing a sterling job there in chucking them up on the screen. We talked about a few of them. So much more coming in. But look, just enjoy it. It was fantastic. We won the Community Shield. Another victory at Wembley. Another trophy. Thank you, Patrick. Thank you, Xavier. Phenomenal performance from you both today. And obviously, I was magnificent. And I'll see you again at some point. Dee's probably back doing this until he isn't, and then he'll just ring me up and say, "Hey, I can't be bothered to do the show today. What are you doing?" And I'll say, "I'm really busy, mate. I've got a life. I've got work." And he'll say, "I don't care. Do it, and I'll be here." So, on that note, up the Palace. See you again soon.
Up the Palace.
Up the Palace.